All right, hey y'all. It is April 5th. I apologize. Yesterday, April 4th was the first time I have skipped a day. Basically, I was just really tired at the end of the day, and I was really comfortable on my couch, and getting up and coming over to the computer seemed like not a vital task. Um, Made a great cocktail. I posted a Snapchat saying quarantine is no excuse to let your mixology skills slip. So it was lavender lemonade, gin, pineapple juice with a sprig of mint, and you gotta like hit the mint a bunch against your hand to have all the oils come out and stuff. It's really good. Um, Also, I just got out of the shower, so that's why my hair is as it is at the moment. This is my literal just out the shower hair. Um, yeah, so not a whole bunch of stuff happened yesterday. That was the other thing. Not really a whole bunch of stuff happened yesterday. It was just kind of a depressing day. Um, it was just like the number of cases, just the number of deaths grew. For the past couple days, the US has said, oh, this is the highest US death toll we've had. And then the next day, oh no, this is the highest. And the next day, oh no, that's the highest. So we'll see if today becomes a new record high. Um, yeah, there wasn't really any great news. It was just kind of like, and the cases keep coming. We kind of know that last week and this week were going to be bad weeks. Mainly because most of us, that was only our third week social distancing. I mean, like we should have been social distancing, but that was our third week of like work remotely. Um, and so, also at the beginning, not a lot of us got it. We were still going out to the grocery store like once a day and grabbing things or whatever else. So, hopefully, uh, this is kind of the payoff of that. Is that last week and this week are going to be bad. Um, and then hopefully in a week from now, I'm sitting here and telling you that there's hope that the following week won't be as bad. But we'll uh, we'll see. There's been people are starting to get a little bit cranky. Um, not not really ordinary people. I mean, people have been a little focus that a little better. People have been a little stir crazy, but they've been kind of stir crazy the whole time. But they kind of understand that, like, look, this is not. Sorry, my hair's just insane when it's wet and I haven't brushed it out. My bangs are also insane, but anyway, people have been a little stir crazy, but they realize this is kind of for the greater good, and so they haven't really done too much about it. But corporations are starting to get antsy. Um, Actually, last week there was a couple big general strikes because places that were like essential weren't giving. I mean, there's a huge PPE shortage anyway, um, which, if any of you are accountants like me, the first thought you hear when you hear PPE is property, plant, and equipment. So for a little while, I didn't really understand what people were saying until I realized they meant PPE as in personal protection equipment. So changed your mindset a little bit. Anyway, so places like Instacart, which is a food delivery service, so people weren't going to stop going to the grocery store. They ordered it, but obviously the food doesn't just magic itself into the bags. Like somebody has to go get it. So that's where Instacart comes in. Those people would go to the stores, collect it, and drop it off at your house. But they were saying that they were given no protective gear. And if they're out there at the stores every day for people multiple times a day, then they should have protective gear. So they had a big general strike. Target workers did. Amazon did. Amazon was actually got very publicly known because they fired the person who instituted the strike. Amazon says they didn't. Amazon says like, oh well, we've asked him just to work from home for the next 2 weeks or something, but like they essentially fired him. And because they're Amazon, they can do that. Sports are getting a little antsy. The MLB was talking about today actually should have been the Phillies home opener, which again, just the weather mocks us. It's gorgeous out today. It is sunny and warm and would have been an absolutely perfect day for baseball. Um, So the MLB should have been on for, I don't remember when their actual opening day was supposed to be, but over a week. There should have been baseball by now. And so, every day they don't play, they're losing out on ticket sales and whatever else, and they're losing money. So they're kind of anxious to start playing again, obviously. And so a couple ideas have been tossed around. And one that got a lot of attention yesterday was, should they play, like they'll still play their games, but everyone will be in either the Florida or Arizona spring training places. And they'll just play there, like regardless of whose stadium it is, like because about where the teams have spring training is either Florida or Arizona. I don't know what the decision's for, whether it's historic or by league or whatever else, geographic. But the Phillies, excuse me, the Phillies spring training facility is in Florida, in Clearwater, Florida. It is Thresher Stadium. So it's called. They're the Threshers, the AAA team down there for the Phillies is the Threshers, and that's their stadium. The Grapefruit League. Anyway, so, but it kind of logistically would be a nightmare to try to get not only all the players, think about how many players are on a baseball team. If you're unfamiliar with the sport, one team for a half inning has 9 men on the field. Okay, so let's just say that let's say we're playing National League baseball instead of American League, whereas American League has a 10th player because they have a DH, a designated hitter, to bat instead of their pitcher, which is not real baseball, in my opinion. Baseball is 10 men go up, or 9 men go out, 9 men go up to bat. It's the same 9 men. If you're on the team, you're on the team. You don't get to say, well, I don't hit really well, so can someone else just do that for me? Or you don't get to say, well, I can hit really well, but like I can't catch a ball, so can someone else just do that for me? Like, no. If you're on a major league baseball team, learn how to play both sides. This is my personal opinion. Anyway, so let's just say we don't have any injuries. We keep the same pitcher for all 9 innings, which is not usual at all. Normally you have your opening pitcher, and your opening pitcher pitches, let's be generous and give him 6 innings, 7 innings, right? Then you have a relief pitcher who will come in because at that point the beginning pitcher's tired, and his arm's getting tired, and then you have a relief pitcher come in who will do, let's say, like 6, 7, 8 or 7, 8, just like a couple innings kind of in between there. You might have, depending on how your opening pitcher goes, you might have a couple pitchers come in. Let's say your opening pitcher starts out and he's just having like a bad day, like nothing's going right. You might go to your bullpen in the 4th inning, get a relief pitcher in. That relief pitcher sucks. You pull him out after half an inning, after a couple outs. You get in another person. You can have a lot of pitchers in the game. Actually, one time I was watching a game with the Phillies, and I can't remember who they were playing. I want to say the Marlins, but that might not be right. And the game was tied, and we went to extra innings. And the Phillies actually ran out of pitchers, which sometimes happens when you go into extra innings, and you have to pull random people in because you can't put a pitcher back in once you pull them out of the game. They're out. You can put them back in. They actually had their shortstop. They put in a substitute shortstop, had their shortstop come pitch because he had been a pitcher in like high school or something. But anyway, so then after the relief pitcher, typically comes your closer, and your closer will pitch like the 8th, 9th, or the 9th inning, and his job is just to finish it out, to close it down, 1, 2, 3, done. So yeah, that's how a normal baseball game works. So let's say we don't have any of that, and we just have one pitcher, which, like I said, does happen. Complete games are really rare though nowadays, but they still do happen. Okay, so just that. We got 18 people right there. Okay. Umpire, right? 19. The first and third base umpires. I think there might not be a second base umpire. All right, let's just say first and third. Let's just cover the corners. So 19, 20, 21. First base coach, third base coach. 22, 23. Managers, bat boys, doctors, things like that. Not to mention all their families. Where they just go leave their families for months. But you know what? Let's even say that. Let's say they leave their families. There are substitutes. There are bullpens. This is going. If the MLB were to do this, they would displace and bring to Arizona, because that's more likely the two options. Hundreds of people easily. Think about how many teams there are. You know, let's say one team is bringing 50 people. You know, the 50 people times the. Now I gotta think of how many teams there are in baseball. There's 2 leagues, 4 divisions, NL East, South, Central, West, South. 4. About, I think there's some with 5 maybe, but let's say 4 teams, 4 teams a division, or 4 teams a whatever thingy thing, 4 thingy things a division, 2 divisions. So 32 teams, yeah, that sounds right. 50 times 32, 1,600 people. 1,600 people right there. That's just the teams. Just the teams. And that's, I'm including like doctors and, you know, things of that nature, bat boys, managers, equipment people, all like that in that number of 50, which sounds low to me, but let that go. And then you think about where they're going to house them. Those people are also going to have to be isolated. That's going to be entire hotels. Like, sorry, I got a little off on this because that was just the most ridiculous thing I've heard. They're like, well, what if we just, but they're not the only ones. The NBA thought about doing that. The NBA was like, well, what if we take all the teams, put them in one city, and they just play in like one arena? And I was like, I don't think that's how that works. Unless you take all those people, put them all in one spot, isolate them for 2 weeks, test all of them to make sure they're not asymptomatic. Even then, it sounds highly risky and kind of unethical to me. You know what? If we miss out on baseball, we miss out on baseball. At least we'll have baseball in the future. We won't, you know, kill the entire MLB. That would be bad. So yeah, shouldn't do that. So that's kind of going on. Shelves are getting a little bit bare right now. I don't know if it's, you know, supply chains are starting to get a little disrupted. Well, I mean, I'm sure they are. Or people are still hoarding like freaks. But Passover is Wednesday, today's Sunday. And I actually bought my stuff a couple weeks ago, mainly because if you're unfamiliar with Passover food is matzah and canned macaroons and chocolate jelly things. They're like chocolate jelly donuts, kind of, but they're rings, like jelly rings covered in chocolate. Or these like orange gummy slices, things like that. This food is the most shelf-stable food in existence. I defy you to find me more shelf-stable food than matzah or macaroons. Those things will last, and do last, for years. Years and years. I swear every Jewish person has like a thing of macaroons from like years ago in their pantry that they have no idea when they bought it. It's there. It exists. If they don't eat it, because they are really good and they tend to disappear around me. So I don't know if people kind of got hip to that or whatever, but I have seen some posts on Facebook of people saying, hey, does anyone have a box of matzah? I went to the stores and like there aren't any, which I'm just like flabbergasted by. I'm like, matzah? Are you kidding me? Because let me tell you something. Matzah, if you're unfamiliar, if you live in a place where there are no Jews, and there are places like that, matzah is like, picture, it's about this big, right? About that size. And think of the color of a giant saltine cracker. That's about what matzah is. It is a giant cracker that has no flavor. There are flavored versions, but like the OG has no flavor. And it is per the Passover story, which is, the Exodus from Egypt and all that jazz, all that good stuff. Pharaoh said, okay, the Jews can go. I released them, but they didn't have any time to actually bake bread because Pharaoh might change his mind. So they made matzah, which was unleavened. So it didn't have to rise. So you didn't have to wait for that. You could just cook it and go. Which is why we, the Jews, have to not eat anything leavened because they were trying to get the hell out of Dodge before Pharaoh changed his mind. So matzah is really good, like, the first 2 days of Passover. You're supposed to keep Passover for, like, 8 days. And I gotta say, the first night of Passover, first Seder, I'm like, all right, bring me the matzah. I love it. You put a little butter on it, and there's something really good about it in the same way that there's something really good every once in a while about, like, just a good piece of toast with butter on it. Like, it's not flavorful, and you're never like, God, that was delicious. But like every once in a while, it just like satisfies something deep in you. And normally you only have matzah once a year because why the fuck would you eat it more than once a year? And so you haven't had it in a year. And so you're like, yeah, I can do some matzah. And then, everyone has recipes for it. There's my family says matzah brie. I know the vast majority of people disagree with us and everyone else calls it matzah brie. Whatever. Anyway, you make matzah brie. It's essentially like you take, this is going to sound really gross, but I promise it's delicious. It's essentially like French toast. Like, think like matzah French toast. But conceptually doesn't really sound great, but it is. So you take matzah and you kind of crush it. You break it up into some pieces. Some people like it a little smaller. I tend to like it a little bigger. And you mix it up with egg, right? In the same way you take French toast and you take a piece of bread and you like you cover it in egg, right? And then you cook it in a pan till it's like one thing, like French toast. Then you take it out and people either put like, some people do the savory thing and they like sour cream on it. Some people do the sweet thing and they like jelly. I'm actually someone who likes to do both. But again, like French toast, some people can do savory French toast, some people can do sweet French toast. Most people do sweet, but every once in a while there's someone who does savory. So yeah, you make matzah brie and you're like, all right, day 2, making matzah brie for breakfast. This is great. You plan some gluten-free meals. You're like, all right, we're gonna have some veggies and some meat, and we're just not gonna have any carbs, or we can have, potatoes. By day 3, you're done. By day 3, you're like, hell, matzah again. So anyway, that's my surprise as to why people went for matzah, because I'm like, do people just not know? Do you just not know? Or are the Jews like stocking up for the next 12 Passovers? The world may never know. The world may never know. So yeah, that's about it for me today. Like I said, it's an absolutely gorgeous day today, so I'm going to open up all my windows. I have 3 so sad bananas sitting on my bar, and they are begging to be made into banana bread. Which actually I've seen a bunch of memes around being like, what is it about a worldwide disaster that makes people bake banana bread? And the answer is because we all bought bananas and no one ate them because not a whole lot of people eat bananas. In my opinion, at least. I feel like bananas come to a house and they sit there. And like maybe someone will have one. And so I put one in my cereal. I had a peanut butter banana sandwich. Like, I ate them, but I don't just like eat a banana. Like I really, really rarely do that. Neither does anyone else. So then we all end up with 3 sad bananas that really, really need to be used in a dessert of some sort. And banana bread's just easy. So yeah, that's why a lot of people are making banana bread. It's easy. You're in the house. Gotta do something with the bananas. Might as well throw on a CD and oof, dating myself, RQ. It is 2020. We don't really use CDs anymore, unfortunately. It's a turn of phrase from my youth. Yeah, no, I have my phone that I use for all my music. So actually, that's slightly a lie. I have still an iPod Nano. Um, I think when it came out, it was called the Video Nano. I remember when they came out and they were huge. It was like, oh my God, you have and I remember like being at summer camp and someone would bring in their iPod and be like, "Oh, can I see it?" And you would do nothing, but you would just scroll through all their songs. And I don't know, you'd find one or two songs that like you liked too, and you're like, "Oh my God, I love that song." But like, I don't remember why that was a thing. I also remember being at summer camp. A thing would be people would like. This was right at the beginning of camera phones. Camera phones were like new. Be like, "Can I see your phone?" And you'd be like, "Yeah, here." Uh, because this was pre-phones having passwords or anything like that. You would just open the phone and it would just be there. And the people would just scroll through your pictures, and that was like a very socially acceptable, okay thing to do. Can you imagine someone being like, "Hey, give me your phone. I want to scroll through your pictures." You'd be like, "No, that's private. What are you doing?" But no, at the time, that was a totally acceptable and valid thing to do to pass time. Um, so yeah, but I do still have my iPod Nano only because the version I have came out of a batch with a glitch. And this glitch was that you could download music from anywhere. Because uh, most Apple products, as you may or may not be aware, you can only limit them, so you can't download music from things that aren't like your computer. Or I think you can enable up to like 3 or 4 computers or something. So you could have like your work computer, your home computer, your boyfriend's computer, whatever. So you can have like your little family, but you shouldn't just be able to go to any computer, download the music out of their iTunes. Like that's not how it was designed to work, because that wouldn't be profitable for Apple, because why would they do that? But this generation of Nano had a glitch where you could do that. So I will never get rid of that Nano. I love that Nano. That thing's the best thing in my life. It's hot pink. I love it. Um, don't actually know where it is at the moment. Now I'm pretty sure it's in my purse, but I haven't used my purse. I typically don't use my purse in the winter because I have a coat with pockets, which is what I use to store the things I typically store in my purse, like my phone and my keys and whatever else. But now that it's summer, I'll probably start using my purse again. Joy of joys. You know, I hope if these videos do ever see the future, women have pockets. It wouldn't be that hard. Just give us goddamn pockets. And what, for God's sake, do not put in the fake pockets. The fake pockets are the worst thing in the world. Typically because the pocket is actually there. It's just sewn shut. So you're like, why? Why do you take the time and effort to do that? And like even a tiny pocket's better than no pocket. So, okay, that has been my rant for today. I'm going to probably, it feels like a good Sinatra day, a nice sunny Frank Sinatra day to get some cooking, some baking done in kind of a guys and dolls mood. So I think that's what I'll be listening to as I bake my banana bread, my apocalypse bread. So, all right, talk to y'all later. Bye.